What's good with the YouTube? Y'all already know Big Flacco with a convict's perspective, and I'm smashing, dashing, sliding on through with a little bit of energy. So, please hit the bell notification, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support this channel, man, so we can keep it pushing forward. So, as you can tell by the title, I'll be talking about a filter that was addressed to the Salinas Regiment. Now, this is an old video I did about 2 years ago, and it's kind of interesting to read and hear what I had to say at that time, what could possibly occur, and what direction things needed to be. Since then, there's a couple changes that have happened since then. To my knowledge, Mateo is no longer active. You know what I'm saying? I think he's pretty much accepted his standings. I'm not going to speak any more about the Vato. A lot of dudes have a lot of love and respect for him, but I don't think there's no get backs on the table for the state or feds for him. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not even gonna discuss it. So everything else, though, man, it pretty much talks about when everything pretty much hit the hot zone, which was when the True Filter came out, is when everything hit the fucking streets, man, and everything got crazy. And there was a bunch of filters that came out. And so I'm discussing in this video, which I did on members only a long time ago, is about the Salinas filter. And you're going to hear a lot of things that I'm discussing about it, right? So bear in mind, this is an old video, and a lot of things have changed, and it seems like hopefully the feds and states are going in the right direction. But you're going to see what I had to say about this 2 years ago. And I'm going to talk about a little bit more about it afterwards. Hope you enjoy this. Once again, please remember, this is an old filter. This was from 2021, about a month after the True Filter. A lot of shit had kicked off, man. With that said, your boy Flacco. Enjoy this video. I'm going to have some little bit of a commentary afterwards about my perspective of how I see things now and from back then till now. That's it. I'm gone.
I'm going to be discussing a recent filter that came out around March 2021 to address the issues that were going on in Salinas and to attempt to discredit the True Filter. So let me get straight to this, and then we're going to discuss this real quick, man. To all ends from Salinas Barrios, it is being asked that all ends from Salinas to reach out to their hoods and let them know the True Filter that is floating around that was drafted from the feds is not true nor legit. This is an act to create division amongst us. It is expected for all hood channels to continue to work close with the community and do as they've been. Those that fall back and or side with the feds will result in serious consequences. What happened to the C. Spanky from Casitas was not authorized. Those responsible committed an act of treason per C. authority. So this filter is straight to the point, man. It's straight direct. It's very simple. There's nothing that really, it's kind of shot because this is just a directive. And so apparently someone must have a line of communication to basically whoever's running the Salinas region, whatever captain's been delegated that responsibility is basically communicating out through the Salinas. So let's go into this a little bit. So apparently this is what my last understanding of how the hoods were operating within the regiment. Each hood in all these cities are basically in communication with the regiment commander or someone who is a regiment leader or is a squad member of the regiment. Or usually a lot of these members will have regiment members within these barrios. That was going on in San Jose. It's going on in different other territories or colonials, however you want to label them. And since Salinas being a stronghold, they must have a strong grasp in these communities with these barrios. Santa Rita, Baronda, you know what I'm saying? Well-known hood. Casitas, Fremont Street, Marqueta. Those are basically the well-known hoods. And then there's a whole bunch of smaller hoods like Baronda boys and different hoods that have been out there for years or even newly recruited hoods. Salinas has always been a stronghold. And so my first thought in reading this filter is it's instant damage control. It's trying to contain any type of push the feds is trying to push out there in the streets. Now, lo and behold, let's think about this. There's two high-ranking NF members from Salinas that their word holds a lot of merit and is well-respected in the streets. That is Paki and that is Mateo. Mateo has been deemed by the state. We know that. But he still has support of the feds. And Mateo is recently, he's in Alameda County at this time in Santa Rita on a new indictment for some type of drug possession charges or drug trafficking charges. I don't know the details of it, but I do know for a fact that he was there. And so the state sees, they know about the True Filter. The True Filter was dated February 2021. We got that filter, the True Filter. We got it before it even got to the regiment commander of a certain regiment. We were the first ones to obtain it. You know what I mean? From there, everything got put out there. I mean, promoted, it got filtered, and it got to every set destinations. And so the state is aware of what the feds are trying to push, just like the feds are aware of what the state is trying to push. So it's a tick for tag game. They're basically playing tag. And so right now the state knows that Pocky and Mateo have a strong hold on Salinas. There's a lot of people out there who don't want to get caught up in this mix, but they're loyal to those individuals, but they're going to be quiet about it. So the state's going to do everything that they can to maintain control of Salinas. If they lose control of Salinas, that will be a major blow for the state faction's continuous leadership. So that's going to be an area that they're going to be really focusing on. If I was in a leadership position and I was campaigning and politicking, that is what I would be focusing on myself. It's Salinas. I would not want to lose that stronghold. That would be my priority. But there's already been some events that have occurred after this. And Frank Campos, Spanquillo from Salinas, from Casitas, around February 2023, I want to say, he was at a Denny's with him and his lady and his 9-year-old child. I don't know if it was a son or daughter. I'll cross-check that a little bit more. And he was shot. He was shot and his lady was shot. He had only paroled maybe, I think, a week or two before that. And he was put in position by the state to take over the Salinas Regiment. Now, the last part of this filter speaks volumes. What happened to the C. Spanquillo was not sanctioned, was not authorized. Those who took action committed treason. So I can only think of one thing that leads to. That this had occurred within the NF. That this was an organizational hit. That someone took the lead and knew he was getting out and we were sending a message to the state. Now, there's no verification, there's no confirmation that the NF or that this was an internal power struggle hit. But this filter puts it out there like it was. You got to read between the lines. Either that or you have a newly recruited C who was told to write this filter and they didn't cross-reference nothing and they left words to be misinterpreted. You know what I'm saying? But I guess he survived. And right now, currently, Salinas it's a hotbed for all this politics stuff going on right now. Because there's certain areas that the NF is going to want to make sure that they try to control for sure. They don't want to lose Sajo. They don't want to lose Salinas. They don't want to lose Visalia. Those are probably three of the strongest areas of NF Norteño regiment activities. Now, I'm sure they're focusing on all areas like Stockton, Fresno, Modesto. Come on, they know. You know what I mean? So this filter is straight directly to the point, man. You know what I mean? And, you guys read between the lines. I mean, these filters have on both sides, there's been threats. The state and their one filter said everything is on the table with anybody who sides with the feds. So you can't threaten an organization like the feds who are recruiting and sending out some straight killers, hitters to do their bidding. It's going to get bloody out there on the streets. This is a civil war. There's no other way to label it. You could try to sit there and say that there's internal conflict, that there's two different factions. No, there isn't no two different factions. This is a civil war. This isn't the first time. You know what I'm saying? We got to go back to when MC was killed. You know what I mean? Back in 98. And then you had Rico and Smiley and all their underlings, Paul Salcido and all those cats. And you had on the other side, you had Copas and, Geronimo and all these cats. And everybody got caught up in that mix, man. They were out there trying to kill each other. And the bad thing about it is none of that was really properly sanctioned. So if you think that this is the only time that the NF has had internal conflict, it's been going on for years, man. It's just now it's out there in the open a little bit more because people are discussing it, man. They're shedding light to what's really going on, in hopes of when we discuss these things, like I said, man, we're not trying to cross anybody up. We're not trying to put out any type of negative vibes or anything like that, man. We're hoping people understand so they don't get caught up in this fiasco. That's what it is. It's a clusterfuck. Lives are going to be killed. People are going to catch time. Being loyal to within an internal conflict of an organization that doesn't have anybody's best interest. Everybody's power playing. It's all about power. This is what the struggle that you see that's currently occurring. And it's up to us to hopefully, sometimes we discuss these topics, man, that we can get that message that, man, is this lifestyle really worth it? You see where it's headed. It's not getting any better. How many lives are going to have to be lost? How many families are going to have to be destroyed because someone dies or goes to prison for life? How many kids are going to have to suffer? And the same cycle is going to continue over and over and over again. Nothing's good. Nothing positive is coming from this lifestyle, man. And this is just the message I want to say when I'm reading this filter, man. Read between the lines. You can sit there and say, well, I'm Team Mateo, this and that, or Team Paki, or I'm pro state, Chuco in there. But all these individuals, they're part of the problem. Organization isn't continuing forward. The cause no longer exists. It's all monetary purpose.
Much of everything that I said pretty much in this,
and hopefully people can
response to this
get rid
filter
of
at
those
that time
blinders
has pretty much
and still have
true,
that
as there has been a lot of instances that happened after.
That's my views. That's my brief perspective, man. I'm not going to elaborate on this filter too much because it's pretty much
pushing that agenda.
Point, man.
Rico
I'm going to let you, the viewers,
Gerardo,
listen to what I read
with some of the main
and make your own analysis.
behind that
put it in
push
the comments.
For some reason.
Y'all have
I don't
a
know the whole details,
day.
but Tiz was pretty much the Muslim stuff is true. The compassionate release was as well. And some of his actions as he was, practicing the Nation of Islam, right, which pretty much overlaps into causing turmoil and conflict if you're part of any type of organization based upon the beliefs that they have. But he was also speaking out against the state fed thing as well, man. It's pretty much being, relieved of his general position. He had since stepped back and, was not as much a factor, but felt that he should be able to put his input, which he should have been able to. And, pretty much, man, they looked for any reason to get him out the picture, man, because he did have a strong voice that people listened to. Who else got caught up? Stork. There's potential, about what happened with Stork was more than just a conflict with some youngsters. You know what I'm saying? Besides the Spanky O issue, man, there was another situation that happened. You know what I'm saying? Bubbles. They had wanted to remove Bubbles. They put out false information that they thought to be true because in the middle of the night, where he was housed at, they came and snatched him up in the middle of the night, and because they heard that he was gonna be next to get hit like Tips, because Bubbles was a state supporter, and that they had moved him to the hole, I think, in Oklahoma. Now, some people said that he was flipping, but then I've heard other people saying that no, he wasn't, but that he didn't have the support in the feds. Then again, who knows? He's back there. I think I think he may be somewhere now, like in ADX, if I'm not mistaken. So who knows what communications have occurred since then? But like a lot of people, man, and not just that. Look at all the negative talk that some people had towards certain people. You know what I'm saying? Certain people were bad mouthing Chuco, and you know what I'm saying? Certain people have been bad mouthing all these other guys on the Fed side, and depending on who you run into and where they've been. The only common thing I've heard people speak bad about continuously was Conejo. I've heard nobody speak anything positive, man. I've heard that there's been a lot of misinformation that's been put out there on these lines about certain C's to a certain extent, but then I've heard some of it to be true. Some were more lax than others, and we're talking about the state side. But as discussed, there's been communications, discussions, and we're going to see what happens from there. Apparently, they're starting to try to work things out. No one anticipated at this time that Silencio was going to come out of death row, right? That was a shocker. Tibbs passed based upon that. And my belief that He may have not died as a result from the injuries, but he may have died from a result of how it made him feel inside being hit by his own people. You know, Operation Quiet Storm hit. So all these things have happened in the last, 2 years of this filter being released. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of changes have happened. And there's been some other instances that have happened out there that nobody can talk about. There's been times where a particular area has been claimed by one particular side, while the other side, you know what I'm saying, comes back and take it. I know Salinas was really, really, really a hotbed for a minute, and that there was a lot of stuff that was going on that was, pretty much crazy at that time, and that there was a time period when the state apparently had took it. So with all this stuff happening, man, and these altercations with Mondo Quinn, then Mondo Quinn gets hit. He was number 3 in the state. That's a big deal right there. So that vacuum for power is still there. You know what I'm saying? That who wants to take it? And apparently, maybe the state feds have finally worked it out, man, to where they can have a working relationship and get past all this. Maybe they finally went through their differences. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But this has been going on for a long time. And the fact that it's pretty much out there in the open, that's the main shocker, is that some of these filters that I'm seeing, these things were being sent to everybody, the streets. And during my time era, that would never, ever be acceptable, that some of the stuff that's in that business would be presented to Northerners, or would they be involved in that business. You know what I'm saying? It put, like I said, it's almost like the C facility, D facility, but on a grander scheme of things. You had dudes that came from the feds that were given directives to take over Santa Rita, right? I'm not even going to say their names. People know the story. Dude gets there, he gets fucking rushed or hit. I don't know if he gets hit or removed. His cleanup was to fucking was to move on Chente. You know what I'm saying? And he fell in line with the state. So you never know what you're stepping into as a Northerner or as an soldado, because it's a fucked up position to be put in. Because I was always taught that unless you're involved in these affairs, see business is see business. It's only privileged to certain individuals. So when I see all these Northerners or soldados that are just being given these filters, that's a shocker for me, because it was never supposed to be like that. And the reason why is it was supposed to protect Northerners and Norteños from getting involved in politics or business that doesn't concern them. So basically, if an end rolls up to a certain spy, he's supposed to just follow within his compliance to his laws, his procedures, his protocol. That's it. If there's a carnal out there, he's supposed to work hand in hand with him. Other than that, it's not his business or affairs to get involved in. And that's why you have certain rules to where only a sea is supposed to touch another sea. That's why when the incident happened in the high desert, when Smilone got hit, Grumpy, whatever, was supposed to take care of that, but he didn't do it. That's why Mondo was fucking making a move on Grumpy. If Grumpy would have technically did what he was supposed to do, Mondo wouldn't have had to make that move. And he'd be alive today. So there's a lot of stuff, like I said, that's been going on, man. And if they work past it, that's all positive, man. So bear in mind, this is an older filter. Mateo's standings have completely been kind of accepted by both the state and feds, to my understanding. So you guys should read between the lines. I'm not going to just speak on them, because I have nothing personally bad to say about the man. Pocky's still pushing his agenda. And you got the other C's from Salinas. Wino, Bubba. Both have been C's for over 20-something years, man. As well as Rico. You know what I'm saying? And then Powder. They all have had influence. Yeah, Powder was recently caught up. As you can see, he was in the recent filter of being cleared, man. But he has some issues concerning money in the NOR label, believe it or not. Yeah, believe it or not, some of these record labels, there's been individuals who've been put on freeze based upon certain situations, man. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the old filter. It's kind of cool to see what my perspective was at that time and what I thought was going to happen. And it pretty much did happen. It's been a continuous civil war for the last 2 years. There's been other things that have happened that I'm not at liberty to speak on. And I'm not going to speak on because it's not my business. I'm speaking on what's already been put out there. With that said, it's your boy Flacco, Convict's Perspective. I'm gone.